The chapel doors slammed shut in Kyle's face with a thunderclap finality, the wooden thud reverberating through his chest like a gunshot. "You're dead to us. You hear me? Dead," his father's voice bellowed from inside. Muffled but venomous, slicing deeper than any knife ever could. In that instant, as the first fat raindrops of a Texas storm splattered against his skin, Kyle Harrington realized love wasn't just a word, it was a war. And he'd just been drafted into the bloodiest battle of his life. He stood there on the sagging steps of First Baptist Church in Willow Creek, Texas, the Bible Belt's unyielding buckle, his white dress shirt already translucent from the downpour, clinging to his broad shoulders like a shroud. At 28, Kyle had come out to his family that very afternoon, his voice cracking over Sunday pot roast as he confessed the truth he'd buried since high school: he was gay. Not just gay, hopelessly, achingly in love with a man who'd upended his world. But the Harringtons, pillars of the community with their oil money and megachurch smiles, didn't do deviant. His mother had wept silently, her cross necklace glinting like a noose, while his father, red-faced and Bible-thumping, had risen like a storm cloud, declaring Kyle's soul lost to eternal fire. The rejection hit like a freight train. Kyle's legs buckled, and he sank to his knees on the wet concrete, the gravel biting into his palms. Memories flooded him: lazy summers fishing with his dad by the Red River, his mom's homemade pecan pie on birthdays, the way his little sister Ellie used to curl up against him during thunderstorms. All of it poison now. He was the black sheep, the family disgrace, the queer kid who dared to dream beyond the picket fence. Tears mixed with rain on his cheeks, hot and salty, as he pounded a fist against the door one last time. No answer. Just the relentless patter of water, drowning out the hymns still echoing faintly from within. Kyle dragged himself to his beat-up Ford pickup, the engine coughing to life like it shared his grief. Willow Creek blurred past, neon-lit diners, Confederate flags flapping defiantly in the wind, the high school football field where he'd been the star quarterback, hiding his truth behind touchdowns and tailgates. He drove aimlessly, radio crackling with country ballads about lost love and second chances, until the dashboard clock hit midnight. Gas was low, his wallet thinner than his patience. New York. The word had been whispering in his ear for months, a siren call from Alex's late-night texts. Alex Rivera, the artist from Brooklyn who'd crashed into Kyle's life like a meteor during a business trip to Austin 6 months ago. They'd met at a dive bar off 6th Street, Kyle nursing a Shiner Bock after a long day schmoozing oil execs for his family's firm. Alex, with his ink-stained fingers and easy laugh, had slid onto the stool next to him, sketching idly on a napkin. "You look like a man carrying the weight of the Alamo," Alex had said, his voice a warm rumble with that faint New York edge. Kyle had snorted, but those dark eyes, deep brown, flecked with gold, had hooked him instantly. One conversation turned into 3 whiskeys, then a walk under the Austin stars, hands brushing accidentally on purpose. By dawn, in Alex's motel room, Kyle had let go of the shame, their bodies tangling in a frenzy of discovery and desperation. It was Kyle's first time with a man, and it felt like coming home. But home was a lie. As the highway stretched north, Kyle's phone buzzed. "Ellie. Dad's wrong. I love you. Call me when you stop." He gripped the wheel tighter, knuckles white. What a cruel joke. Alex had promised forever. But forever for two men in love? In America? Land of the free. It still felt like chasing shadows. Dawn broke over Oklahoma as Kyle crossed state lines, the flatlands giving way to rolling hills. Exhaustion clawed at him, but sleep was a luxury for the unbroken. He pulled into a rest stop near Tulsa, collapsing against the truck's hood, staring at the horizon. That's when the doubt crept in, cold and insidious. What if Alex was just a fling? What if New York chewed him up and spat him out? Another small-town casualty? Kyle pulled out his phone, thumb hovering over Alex's contact. Mia Moore. Where are you? No reply yet. The silence screamed louder than his father's rage. By noon, he was in Missouri, the arch of St. Louis mocking him with its gateway promise. He scarfed a gas station hot dog, the grease turning in his gut like regret. Flashes of the night before replayed, his dad's fist slamming the table, veins bulging like rivers of hate. The Bible says it's an abomination. You'll burn. And his mom, whispering through tears, pray, baby. Just pray it away. As if love was a demon to exorcise. Kyle had bolted, grabbing only a duffel with clothes, his grandfather's old watch, and the sketch Alex had drawn of him, their first night, bodies intertwined in charcoal lines, tender and fierce. The drive blurred into a haze of interstates and truck stops, each mile peeling back layers of the life he'd fled. Willow Creek had been his cage, gilded with expectations. Marry a nice girl like Sarah Jenkins? Pump out heirs for the Harrington legacy? Tithe to the church that preached fire and brimstone from pulpits of polished oak. But Kyle had cracked under the facade. The secret hookups in Dallas motels. The guilt gnawing like acid. Alex had been the spark, the one who saw through the quarterback charm to the scared boy beneath. As night fell over Indiana, Kyle's eyes burned from the road. He checked his phone, a voicemail from Alex. Cut, baby. It's me. Your text. Good. I'm so sorry. Get here safe. We're in this together. I love you. The words washed over him like balm. And for the first time since the chapel, Kyle smiled, a small, crack thing. He floored the gas, chasing the lights of the city that never slept. 3 days and 2,000 miles later, Kyle crested the George Washington Bridge, Manhattan's skyline exploding before him like a fever dream. The air hummed with horns and sirens, a chaotic symphony that drowned his doubts. He navigated the gridlock to Brooklyn, heart hammering, until he pulled up to Alex's brownstone in Bed-Stuy. The door flew open before he could knock, and there was Alex, with that mop of curly black hair and a tattoo of a phoenix curling up his forearm. You made it, Alex breathed, pulling Kyle into a crush of arms and rain-scented jackets. They tumbled inside, the world outside fading to irrelevance. Alex's apartment was a riot of canvases and half-finished sculptures, sunlight slanting through grimy windows onto mismatched furniture. Kyle dropped his duffel, and they kissed like men starved, slow at first, exploratory, then urgent, hands mapping familiar territories. I left everything, Kyle murmured against Alex's neck. They disowned me. Alex cupped his face, thumbs brushing away phantom tears. Then we build new everything. You and me. That night, tangled in sheets that smelled of turpentine and takeout Thai, Kyle confessed the details, The slam of the door. The sting of the words. Alex listened, his artist's eyes tracing Kyle's pain like brushstrokes, then held him through the sobs. America's big. Cut. Bigger than their hate. We'll make our own family. But New York wasn't the promised land. It was a grindstone, sharpening Kyle's edges. He crashed on Alex's couch, then bed, scrambling for jobs, barista gigs, construction shifts, anything to pay rent on the shoebox apartment they scraped together in Bushwick. Alex taught art classes at a community center, his passion a beacon in their dim space. But money was tight. Nights were for rooftop stargazing, sharing dreams over cheap wine. Kyle wanted to flip houses, turn fixer-uppers into homes for folks like them. Alex envisioned a gallery show. Paintings of queer love in bold, unapologetic strokes. Yet the shadows followed. Kyle's phone stayed silent from home, save Ellie's sporadic texts. Miss you. Dad's pretending you're on a trip. Isolation nod. Amplified by the city's indifferent pulse. Street preachers on the subway thundered against sodomites, their pamphlets fluttering like accusations. One evening, walking hand in hand through Prospect Park, a group of teens hurled slurs, fags, a bottle shattering at their feet. Kyle froze, the old fear coiling, but Alex squeezed his hand. Eyes on me. We're unbreakable. Love deepened in the quiet moments, Alex sketching Kyle asleep, sunlight gilding his lashes, Kyle cooking chili from his mom's recipe, tweaking it with Brooklyn flair. They talked marriage early, not if, but when. In a world that says we can't, we will, Alex vowed, slipping a cheap ring from a flea market onto Kyle's finger. Silver and scuffed but eternal. Word spread, as it does in tight-knit expat circles. Kyle's cousin, visiting from Dallas, cornered him at a queer bar in the village. Families offering a deal, come back, go to conversion therapy, and it's like nothing happened. The word therapy twisted like barbed wire. Kyle laughed bitterly. Tell them to shove their prayers. But the seed of doubt sprouted. Winter clamped down on Brooklyn like a vice. Snow blanketing the brownstones in deceptive purity. Kyle and Alex's first holiday season together was a patchwork of defiance, a menorah from Alex's Jewish mom, estranged but loving from afar. Kyle's bootleg Christmas lights strung crookedly across their fire escape. They hosted a potluck for friends, drag queens from the center, fellow artists, a trans barista named Jamie who became their chosen sister. Laughter echoed off peeling wallpaper, but Kyle's smile faltered when his phone lit up an unknown number. Ellie's whisper. Cut. This bad. Dad found out about Alex from Aunt Rita. He's coming for you. The warning hung like frost. Turns out, Rita had spotted Kyle's Facebook, public, stupidly, tagged in a Pride March photo, Alex's arm around his waist. The Harrington machine mobilized, lawyers drafting disinheritance papers, whispers to old oil contacts in New York. A week later, certified letter arrived, crisp and cold, cease all contact with Alexander Rivera. Return to Willow Creek for reconciliation, or forfeit your inheritance and any claim to the family name. Kyle burned it in the sink, the flames dancing like his rage. They think money fixes this, he snarled to Alex, who rapped him from behind, chin on his shoulder. Let him try. We're richer in ways they can't touch, but the betrayal stung deeper than rejection. His own blood, weaponizing love against him. Spring thawed the ice, but not the chill in Kyle's heart. He landed a steady gig renovating lofts in Williamsburg, his calloused hands finding solace in hammer swings and drywall patches. Alex's big break came, a solo show at a Soho gallery. Queer fires, canvases ablaze with their story, Kyle's profile in emerald greens, Alex's hands in crimson reds, intertwined against black voids of judgment. Opening night was electric. Critics buzzed. Champagne flowed. A local paper ran a glowing review. Rivera's work pulses with the raw humanity of love unbound, it read. In a borrowed blazer, stood beaming beside him, whispering, "You did this." "We did." But triumph bred envy. Enter Marcus Hale, Alex's ex from art school, a silver-tongued curator with a trust fund and a grudge. They'd split messy years ago, Marcus accusing Alex of wasting talent on street trash. But sniffing opportunity, Marcus slithered into their orbit, offering gallery connections laced with barbs. "Darling, this Kyle of yours, he's charming, but small town. You'll need more than heart for the big leagues." Alex brushed it off. But Marcus lingered, lunches turning to late drinks, networking that Kyle sensed soured the air. Jealousy wasn't Kyle's style, but insecurity was. Nights when Alex came home smelling of scotch and smoke, Kyle lay awake, tracing the phoenix tattoo. "Who's Marcus?" "Really?" he'd ask softly. Alex would sigh, pulling him close. "Goes? Baby. Nothing to you." Trust frayed at the edges, thread by thread. Summer scorched the city, humidity thick as unspoken fears. They escaped to Fire Island for a weekend. Borrowed cottage on the gay beach, a riot of Speedos, volleyball, and sunset kisses. Under a canopy of stars, Alex dropped to one knee on the sand. "Marry me, Kyle Harrington." Not because they say no, but because we say yes. The ring was simple gold, engraved always. Kyle's yes choked out amid tears, their bodies sealing the vow in the waves' roar. Planning ignited them, a small ceremony in Central Park, vows under the oaks, officiated by Jamie. Invites went to the misfits who'd become family, cousins, eclectic and loud. But leaks happened. Ellie forwarded a chain, Aunt Rita to the family group chat. "Kyle's shacking up with that spick artist." "Wedding? Lord help us." The slurs ignited Kyle's fury. He called home for the first time in months. Voice steel. "You don't get to poison this. Stay out." His father's laugh was ice. "Boy, you'll regret defying God." And us. Fall leaves turned crimson as wedding day neared, October 15th. A crisp Saturday. Rehearsal dinner at their favorite Italian joint in Carroll Gardens. Pasta steaming. Toast sloshing with Chianti. Marcus showed. Uninvited. Champagne flute in hand. "To love conquering all," he toasted. Eyes on Alex too long. Kyle's got twisted, but he smiled through gritted teeth. Later, in the bathroom, he overheard Marcus's murmur to a colleague. "Alex deserves better than that redneck rebound." "I'll remind him." Betrayal brewed that night. Alex, buzzed and buoyant, confessed over midnight slices. "Marcus cornered me earlier. Offered a Paris residency, solo. Huge exposure. But I'd turn it down. For us." Kyle's heart swelled, then cracked. You thought about it? Alex's pause was a chasm. Only to build our future. But no. You're my future. Or half-truths. Kyle swallowed the doubt. But it festered. The week blurred, suits tailored. Flowers ordered, wild sunflowers for Kyle's Texas roots. Roses for Alex's romance. Ellie arrived incognito, hugging Kyle fierce in Penn Station. I'm here. For you, sister. The bridge to a past he couldn't fully sever. They walked the high line at dusk. Her arm linked in his. Dad's raging? But Mom. She cried reading your invite. Sent a card. Kyle pulled it from his pocket. My boy. Love is God's greatest gift. Be happy. See. But enough. Yet omens gathered. A pipe burst in the apartment. Flooding Alex's sketches, a flu swept the city. Sidelining Jamie. And Marcus, always Marcus, sent anonymous tips to the local rag. Harrington air ties not with Latino lover amid family feud. The article dropped 2 days before. Tabloid trash with Rita's sourced quotes. It's a sin. Pray for their souls. Protests brewed online. Hate mail flooding their inbox. Burn in hell. Abominations. Kyle woke on wedding eve to an empty bed. Alex's note, early meeting with gallery. Love you. Tomorrow. Panic clawed, Marcus's doing? He paced the loft. Hammer in hand from a half-finished shelf. Pounding nails like enemies. By noon. No word. He called, voicemail. Texts, unread. The city closed in. Skyscrapers like judgmental fingers. Desperation drove him to the gallery. Through fog glass. He saw them, Alex and Marcus. Heads bent close over contracts. Marcus's hand on Alex's knee. The world tilted. Kyle burst in. Door slamming like that chapel echo. What the fuck? Alex startled. Papers scattering. Marcus smirked. Darling. Timing. Alex's face drained. Kyle, it's not. Words tumbled. The residency. A 1-year clause. Marcus's promise of returns. I was signing to negotiate, Alex pleaded. But Kyle saw the lie in his eyes, the temptation, the escape from their scrabble. Betrayal. Sharp as his father's curse. You chose ambition over us. Again. He ripped the ring off, hurling it at Marcus's feet. Fuck you both. Storming out. Brooklyn streets a blur. He didn't hear Alex's shouts. He ended up at the park. Their spot under the oaks. Rain starting again, poetic cruelty. Ellie found him there. Soaked and shattered. Cut. The wedding. He broke then. Sobbing into her shoulder. He sold us out. For what? A spotlight. She held him. Fierce. Love's messy. Doesn't mean it's dead. Dusk fell as Alex arrived. Drenched. Eyes wild. Please. It was a bluff to get better terms. I tore it up. Proof in his trembling hands. Shredded contract. Marcus played me. But I saw through. You're my everything. Kyle searched his face. The fire reigniting slow. Prove it. Alex knelt. Ring retrieved from his pocket. Tomorrow. Say yes again. The altar waited. Vows rewritten in the margins of hurt. Wedding morning dawned brittle gold. Sunlight fracturing through storm clouds like fractured trust. Kyle stood before the loft's cracked mirror. Adjusting his bow tie, a deep navy silk Alex had picked, symbol of endless nights. His reflection stared back, hollow-eyed. Jaw set. The boy from Willow Creek armored in city grit. Ellie bustled in, pinning a sunflower to his lapel. You look like a hero. Ready to slay dragons? Her grin was armor enough. But inside, the wound from last night throbbed, Alex's near betrayal a scar that itched. Downtown hummed oblivious as they cabbed to Central Park, Bethesda Terrace arching like a benediction. Guests milled, Jamie in a killer pantsuit, officiating with flair, drag divas in sequins, outshining the leaves, Alex's mom. Rosa, dabbing tears with a lace hanky, her silver hair coiled like a crown. No Harringtons save Ellie, but their absence loomed, a ghost at the feast. Kyle's phone buzzed pre-ceremony, his father's text. First in months. Don't do this. For your soul. He deleted it, blocking the number. Freedom tasted like bile. Alex waited under the oaks, resplendent in charcoal gray. His curls tamed but eyes untamed, storm dark. Pleading. When Kyle approached, arm linked with Ellie's, time stuttered. The path wound past joggers and tourists, whispers trailing. Is that the couple from the article? Hates echo, but drowned by cheers from their circle. At the altar, a simple arch of wildflowers, Alex took Kyle's hands, palms sweaty, vows spilling raw. Alex Rivera promised to paint our days in colors unafraid, to hold you through the gales of judgment, to choose us over every glittering lie. His voice cracked on lie, the night's shadow passing. Kyle swallowed, throat tight. Kyle Harrington? No. Just Kyle now, vow to build with you, brick by broken brick, to stand unbowed against the storms we fled, to love you fiercer than their fear. Rings exchanged, simple bands warmed by body heat, sealing the fracture. Jamie pronounced them husbands with a whoop, and the kiss, the kiss, ignited like dry tinder. Soft at first, lips brushing tentative, then deepening, tongues tasting salt of unshed tears, hands fisting shirts as if to anchor against the world's pull. Cheers erupted, petals raining, but in that lock of mouths, Kyle forgave, not forgot, but forgave. Marcus lurked at the edges, uninvited witness, his glare a footnote. The reception sprawled on a rented boathouse deck, picnic tables groaning under barbecue and empanadas. A playlist of Springsteen anthems and Bad Bunny beats. Toasts flowed, roses, thick accented and tearful. Mijo, you shine like your father's lost stars. Jamie's roast, skewering Marcus with, may your curations curdle. Honey, Ellie pulled Kyle aside mid-dance, under string lights flickering like fireflies. Proud of you. Mom's watching the live stream. Secretly. Small but seismic. Night deepened. Cake cut with shared forks. Chocolate smearing lips for stolen licks. But Joy's underbelly stirred. A call came mid-waltz, Rose's phone. Urgent. Kyle's Aunt Rita? Of all people? Voice shrill, your father's had a stroke. Willow Creek Hospital. Now, the world tilted again. Ellie paled. Go. I'll cover. Alex's hand tightened on Kyle's waist. We're in this. Together. They fled the party in a borrowed Prius. Manhattan's lights receding like a dream deferred. The drive south was a gauntlet. 95 clogged with weekend traffic. Rain sheeting the windshield. Kyle gripped the wheel. Knuckles bone white. Alex's hand on his thigh a steady pulse. "What if he dies hating me?" Kyle whispered. Wipers slashing rhythm like accusations. Alex leaned close. Breath warm. "Then we love enough for both." That's our win. Willow Creek materialized at dawn. Flat and unforgiving. The hospital a squat beacon off Highway 287. They arrived disheveled. Kyle's suit rumpled. Alex's curls wild. The waiting room reeked of bleach and regret, family clustered. Aunts and uncles in starched church clothes. Eyes widening at the intruders. Rita sneered from a vinyl chair. "Took you long enough." "Sinner." Ellie rushed up. Hugging fierce. "He's stable." "Asking for you?" Kyle. The ICU room hummed sterile, beeps of monitors. His father, Big Jack Harrington, pale against pillows. Oxygen mask fogging with labored breaths. Tubes snaked like accusations. He stirred as Kyle entered. Alex hovering at the threshold like a shadow. "Son." The word croaked. Eyes, mirror of Kyle's hazel, flickering with something new. Not warmth, but fracture. "Heard you." Tied the knot. Kyle nodded. Throat closing. "Yeah. He's my husband." "Alex." Jack's gaze shifted. Appraising. A cough racked him. Hand trembling toward the bed rail. "Rita." Told tales. "So." Cleared my head some. Infinite. Bible says. But heart says different. Maybe. It wasn't absolution. But a crack in the armor, enough for Kyle to grasp his hand. Rough and calloused from oil rigs. "I love you." Always did. Tears tracked Jack's cheeks. Silent concession. In the hallway's harsh fluorescence, Alex waited, arms crossed against vulnerability. Kyle pulled him close, foreheads touching. He saw us. Something. But Rose's call had pulled her away mid-crisis, her own health scare. A fall in the kitchen. "Go," Kyle urged. "Family." Alex hesitated, then nodded, kissing him fierce. "Back soon." "Hold the fort." "Husband." The word lingered. A talisman. Days blurred in vigil, Jack stabilizing. Gruff apologies murmured in morphine haze. "Shouldn't have shut that door." Ellie mediated. Bridging the chasm with coffee runs and mediated talks. But tension simmered, church elders visiting. Bibles in hand. Urging repentance. One evening, as Kyle stepped out for air, a confrontation erupted. Uncle Harlan, red-faced relic, blocking the exit. "This perversion ends now. Send the spick home." Alex, arriving with takeout. "Drop the bags." Fists clenching. "Call him that again. And you'll need a new jaw." Fists flew, Harlan's wild swing glancing Alex's cheek. Kyle diving in to separate. A nurse's alarm scattering them. Bruises bloomed, Alex's eyes swelling purple. Kyle's ribs aching from the tussle. In the parking lot, under sodium lamps, they leaned against the truck. Breaths ragged. "This place," Kyle spat. "It poisons everything." Alex winced, dabbing ice from the ER kit. "Not us." We proved it to us. The whole damn show. But the fight lingered. A reminder, love won battles. Not wars. Jack rallied enough for discharge. Home under hospice watch. Kyle stayed a week. Mending fences in fits and starts, fishing poles dusted off. Quiet talks on the porch about legacies beyond oil. Build those houses, son. For folks like you. Progress. Fragile as spun glass. Alex returned. Rosa stabilized. Bearing tamales and tales of her own queer uncle. Long silenced. Family's what we claim, she said. Hugging Kyle tight. Back in Brooklyn. Autumn's blaze faded to winter's bite. Their honeymoon, a delayed cabin in the Catskills, mended the raw edges, wood smoke and whiskey, bodies rediscovering in flannel sheets. But reality intruded, Marcus's parting shot. A scathing review in Art Forum, Rivera's domestic bliss dulls his edge. Gigs dried for Kyle. Economy slumping, Alex's show toured, pulling him to LA for weeks. Distance tested. Texts turning terse, miss you. Don't forget us. Then, the gut punch, Ellie's call. New Year's Eve. Dad's gone. Heart attack. Funerals Tuesday. Kyle flew solo. Alex in Chicago for an install. Willow Creek swarmed with mourners, hypocrites in black. Eulogies glossing sins. At the graveside, under gray skies, Kyle spoke unscripted. He taught me strength. And in the end, love. Rita's glare burned. But Ellie squeezed his hand. In the church hall, a letter waited, from Jack. Scrawled shaky, to my sons-in-law, forgive the old fool. Build bold. Alex's name included. Sobs racked Kyle in the truck. Grief and grace entwined. Spring 2026 bloomed defiant in New York. Cherry blossoms defiant against concrete. Kyle and Alex's first year as husbands was a tapestry of scars and stitches, Jack's death a hollow ache. But his letter a lodestone. Kyle channeled it into work, launching Harrington Homes. Not the oil empire, but affordable renos for queer youth. Safe havens in Bushwick basements. Grants trickled. Volunteers rallied. Their first flip, a cozy one-bed with rainbow accents, housed a scared kid from Ohio. Like you, Alex teased, painting the mailbox cobalt. Alex's star ascended cautious. The tour yielded a book deal. Fires unquenched. Illustrations of their odyssey. Marcus faded to irrelevance. Exposed in a scandal, embezzling from upstarts. Karma's quiet nod. But they collapsed into each other. Exhaustion breeding intimacy. Lazy Sundays with Rosa's Eras con pollo. Rooftop barbecues with the found family. Love settled. Not fireworks but hearth, deep, enduring. Yet conflicts simmered societal. Pride that June erupted in clashes, counter-protesters at the parade. Signs screaming God hates fags. Bottles flying. Kyle and Alex marched arm in arm. Ellie visiting with signs of her own. Love wins. A scuffle broke ranks. Alex shoved back against a zealot. Badge flashing NYPD. Bruises again. But headlines flipped. Gay newlyweds stand ground in pride melee. Sympathy surged. Donations for Harrington Homes. Interview invites. One evening. Post-march beers at their local. A stranger approached, broad-shouldered. Mid-30s? With a southern drawl. Kyle Harrington? From Willow Creek. Turns out, Tom Whitaker, high school rival. Once the bully who'd shoved Kyle into lockers. Whispering fairy after stolen glances in the showers. Out and proud. A journalist for Out magazine. Saw your story. The rejection. The wedding. It's mine too. Dad disowned me 08. Can I profile you? The piece dropped in fall, from Bible Belt exile to Brooklyn builders. Revelatory, Kyle's chapel slam. Alex's phoenix rise. Jack's deathbed thaw. It went viral. Shares from glad to small town forums. Backlash brewed, Rita's Facebook rants. Lies. My brother's no saint maker. Protests at their door, eggs on stoops. Slurs scrawled in Sharpie. But ripples spread, letters from kids. You gave me courage, Ellie called. Voice thick, even mom softening. Reads it weekly. High tide came Thanksgiving, Rosa hosting. A fusion feast, turkey with plantains. Pecan pie spiked with rum. Ellie flew in. Boyfriend in tow, a quiet engineer named Ben. Nervous but kind. Toast circled, to futures. But mid-meal. The doorbell, a courier. Envelope thick. Kyle's inheritance papers. Contested no more. Executrix. Had caved under Ellie's pressure, half to Kyle. Strings free. For your houses, the note read. Her script shaky. Forgive? Kyle wept into Alex's shoulder. The weight lifting partial. It's not absolution. But it's enough. They donated chunks, to the center. To conversion survivor funds, turning poison to purpose. Winter deepened resolve. Alex proposed a bold, their story, on stage. A one-man show, that played curtain, for an off-Broadway queer theater. Love's Reckoning, Kyle's Exile. The Betrayal Bluff. Wedding Under Oaks. Jack's Ghost. Rehearsals in their living room turned cathartic, arguments over lines mirroring old fights. Laughs healing the rest. Opening night. March 2027, house packed. Critics rapt. Standing ovation. Kyle and Alex center stage. Hands clasped as lights dimmed on a tableau of embrace. Reviews hailed, a gut-wrenching triumph. Proving love's victory isn't fairy tale, it's forged in fire. Tours beckoned, Austin. Even tentative talks for Willow Creek's community theater. Rita attended the Dallas stop. Face lined but eyes soft. Post-curtain. She approached Kyle in the green room. Saw your dad and you up there. Sorry. For everything. A hug. But a nod, truce. Summer brought full circle, Harrington Home's fifth house. Ribbon cut with a crowd. Sweat damp in a polo. Scissored the tape, Alex beside. Sketching the moment. Ellie and Ben announced a spring wedding. Your best man. Duh. Rosa beamed. Her own reconciliation with Alex's father, divorced but distant, sparked by the play. Yet humanity's edge cut, a client. Fresh from the closet. Attempted suicide in one of their homes. Kyle found him. Wrists bandaged. Eyes hollow. Nights blurred into vigils. Alex holding Kyle through his own unraveling. We can't save them all. But they tried. Therapy tie-ins. Hotlines etched in doorframes. The loss scarred. But deepened, love as verb. Relentless. Anniversary dawned in the Catskills again. Cabin rented for reflection. They hiked to a overlook. City distant? Woods whispering. Alex unpacked a canvas, fresh. Their portraits entwined. Aged a year but fiercer. To us. Still winning. Kyle pulled him down to the blanket. Bodies familiar as breath. Always. Back in Brooklyn. Life layered. A pregnancy talk with a surrogate friend. Dreams deferred but dawning. Protests evolved. Less fists. More dialogues. Kyle testified at City Hall for housing protections. Alex's art funding queer initiatives. Jack's watch ticked on Kyle's wrist. A metronome of progress. One crisp October eve. Walking the bridge at sunset. Manhattan aglow. Kyle paused. We did it. From that door slammed to this. Alex grinned. Wind-tousled. Love wins. Baby. Message. But wins. Their kiss bridged horizons. A testament. Rejected. Yes, but unbreakable. In America's vast, veined heart, two men had carved their vein deepest, proving not despite the hate, but through it, love's pulse endures.